I've come along today to talk to you, and I've chosen a biblical character, Job. Now, the reason I've picked Job is because as most of you know, I went to 2 church schools and everything, and Job was one of the characters that stuck out for me when we were learning. And as I've got older, I've realised that I've picked up an awful lot from him. Well, as you know, Job was a very good man who suffered disaster in his life, losing everything, including his children. He cannot understand why God has allowed this to happen to him. And we are told that Job becomes very angry with God, and that he was really annoyed. Job becomes really angry with God and berates him for not answering him when he prays. His friends are no help. They just explained it is in the religious terms of that day, when they believed that God did not bring you problems unless you were sinning, and that Job cannot be as good as he's made out to be. He must be hiding sins. For Job, however, this is not too simple. He is convinced he doesn't deserve to be cruelly punished in this way. He longs for God's healing and prays, and he wants his help. He answers his friends by saying, yes, I've heard all this before, but God is so wise and powerful, so really no one should question his ways. He knows my heart, and that is all that matters. Eventually, God does answer Job with a poetic picture of his divine power and wisdom. Job has never lost his trust and faith in God, although he had been angry. However, he humbly acknowledges God as wise and great and repents his wild and angry words that he used. And God restores him to health and prosperity and gave him far more than he had before. And God also reprimands his friends for failing to understand and help Job with his suffering. Only Job had really sensed that God is great, that traditional religion had depicted him differently. And I think the reason that God came back to Job and spoke to him was that Job never ever lost his faith. He prayed, and yes, he was angry, and God doesn't mind if we get angry. However, we must always keep our faith and our trust in God. As I said earlier, I was very young when I first read this, and why I couldn't always understand why it all happened. But as I've got older, I've realised that Job actually showed us that when things go wrong in our lives and we ask God why, God doesn't mind that. He doesn't mind us complaining. The most important thing is that we trust, that we never lose trust or faith in God. There is always a reason for what happens, and usually it is for our good. And having spoken about Job, I'm going to share some things. You know, Andrew and I, through our lives, we've not had it perfectly easy. We've had all sorts of little knocks, as we all do. And things have had to change. And I remember waiting for a promotion at work. And I really wanted it. I'd worked hard towards it. I felt I deserved it. And I didn't get it. And I was really hurt and upset. But I now know that it wasn't for me, because 4 weeks after the promotion, the company moved to Port Sunlight, that department, and I would have had to go there. And when my husband, Andrew, had his heart attack, 4 weeks later again, I would not have been able to have that 3 months off work or working from home part-time in order to look after him and make sure that he was all right. And also, we had Harefield up the road. We'd moved to Northwood and there it was. So, you know, there's lots of other little things I could share with you, but there's only so much time. But that was a wonderful thought. And I'd like to give you that thought. Just remember, however bad it gets, however awful it is, God is with you. He loves you. And at the end, the old saying is, there's a light at the end of the tunnel.